Over the last couple of days, I've personally been indulging in a little bit of Remnant 2 gameplay, much to my own surprise. Because although I was hyped for the game from the day that it was announced to the day that it launched, none of my so-called friends wanted to play it with me, and to be quite frank, I didn't think I would enjoy it much as a solo game. But to my pleasure, I've had a rather swell time with the game so far, even though it's made me suicidal on more than one occasion. For those who aren't aware, Remnant 2 is a Souls-like looter shooter, and I don't use the term Souls-like loosely because believe me when I say that this game will punish you for being really fucking stupid. Sometimes I wonder why I'm doing this to myself. Am I truly having fun? And the answer is always no. Once I start something, I can never stop until I finish. Someone, please come help me. I've been jerking off for 21 years and I still haven't nutted. My doctor says that it's not normal. Jokes aside, I actually enjoy being mentally tortured, so Remnant 2 has really been an exciting and fresh adventure that's taken me on a fantastical journey across alien worlds, introduced me to some of the most visually stunning landscapes a video game can offer, and engrossed me with the most engaging, enjoyable, and rewarding boss fights and encounters I've experienced in any video game since Elden Ring. What we have here is an absolute gaming masterpiece. Although it's easy to take a glance and determine that it's just another Dark Souls reskin, this game is truly a one-of-a-kind experience that you simply won't find anywhere else. Down to its core, the game is developed with such care and consistency. The fundamentals are so simple yet so engaging. And with each new enemy you encounter, dungeon you complete, weapon you pick up, or world you discover, there's always something around every corner that feels completely new, something for you to dive into for hours, discovering all the little intricacies and secrets the developers poured their heart and souls into creating. As you start your journey, you're greeted with a small tutorial guiding you through the basics. Eventually you'll make your way to the home base, where you meet all your friends, pick your class, and get started on your journey. From the first moment you step into the world crystal, there's a distinct sense of awe and wonder as you land on your first alien planet. And then you go to the next one, and then the next one, and so on and so forth, each time reliving that same feeling of joy as you continue your marvelous journey through the world of Remnant. In total, there are 5 worlds to explore in Remnant, ranging from the literal fucking Matrix to the world that connects all other worlds together, known as the Labyrinth. Although these worlds are all set on a relatively linear path, there's plenty of areas and dungeons to explore as well as loot to obtain. So clearing each world can easily take several hours to complete, assuming you take your time. Also, fun fact that I just learned, every run is almost entirely randomized for each person, ranging from the world you start on all the way down to the modifiers a boss might have. For example, I started on the world Yeisha, but your run might start you on Losom or Nerud. You even have the possibility to get one of 2 completely different campaigns. On paper, this sounds kind of unfair, but the way that they keep the game balanced is through a reroll system where you can reroll your campaign if you aren't happy with the hand you've been dealt, or you can roll a specific world on adventure mode if you're going for a certain piece of gear. When you reroll, everything is completely randomized, like I said earlier. I know some people are going to absolutely despise this system, but personally, I think it's great because it'll make farming and subsequent playthroughs much more interesting. As a matter of fact, I spent 3 hours recently rerolling Nerud in adventure mode in order to obtain the pulse rifle and the plasma cutter because I needed a very specific structure to generate in order to obtain those 2 items. I'll admit that it got a little bit frustrating after a while, but it was still really interesting to see how differently every roll would play out. The only thing that isn't randomized are two of the worlds that you'll eventually reach, because they're essential to the story, so they'll appear in everyone's playthrough at roughly the same time. As for the gameplay, I said earlier that this is a Souls-like looter shooter, so basically just take Outriders and Dark Souls, make them kiss, and voila, out comes Remnant 2. The only thing it's really missing is any sort of cover system like you would find in Outriders and other third-person shooters like Gears of War. As for the difficulty, there's 4 levels to choose from: Survivor, Veteran, Nightmare, and Apocalypse, including an optional hardcore mode for each level. It isn't necessarily on the same level as Dark Souls or Elden Ring in the sense that it's a lot more forgiving, but it certainly isn't a breeze. There is common ground between the two with the checkpoint system, but a major difference is that in Remnant, you don't lose anything upon death, except for your dignity. I'll admit that a lot of bosses really had me on the brink of tears, but once the fight was finally over, I knew that it was just a skill issue, because if they were truly unfair, then I wouldn't have been able to beat them legitimately and without exploits. As for trash mobs, there's dozens of unique enemy types between worlds, and although they're typically extremely predictable, they still pose a threat the first time you encounter them. But at the end of the day, the subject of difficulty is entirely too subjective to expand upon, because there's always going to be casuals that want everything to be a cakewalk, and then there's the Dark Souls fuckers who think that playing without a blindfold is cheating and illegitimate, and it makes you gay, and also it means that your mother has sex with multiple men every single night. Moving on from combat and controversy, the game offers 4 starting classes to choose from, as well as several other archetypes that you can obtain as the game goes on. The starting classes are Challenger, Handler, Hunter, and Medic. As you progress further into the game, you can eventually choose a second class to multi-class with. This can be one of the 4 starter classes or any of the other archetypes you can unlock, which include Gunslinger, Summoner, Explorer, Alchemist, Engineer, Invader, and the Archon. This game offers a lot in the way of build variety because you can mix any 2 classes that you want, and on top of that there's hundreds of traits, weapons, rings, amulets, and mods to choose from to really hone in on any specific build that you want. So that's pretty much all I have to say about Remnant 2. It's just a really good fucking game. It's easily worth $50, and if it's on any type of sale at all, you should pick it up immediately without a second thought. Goodbye.